Hello, 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 and welcome to our show. Who are you? Live from Germany, near Frankfurt. Today we are having a special guest all the way from California. Thank you so much. Our guest today is going to give us a lot of good information, and she has also a goodie for those who are watching and who will be joining in a while. So we will be bringing Kimberly Middlebrooks. Kimberly Middlebrooks is a career strategist and career sustainability coach. So she has been working as a human resource for over 9 years. And during these 9 years, she has built herself and she has found her purpose to support and to help a lot of people who are out there looking for jobs, and especially in this season where we are facing COVID pandemics and many people have been laid out, but still there is hope because we know that today we can learn a lot of new things, a lot of new ways of finding new careers, or let's say maybe moving into the next level in our careers. Those who are still having their jobs or their careers, however you want to call it, how you will learn how to sustain and grow within the levels that you are, or grow to a higher level as you perceive. So right now I will be bringing in our guest today, Miss Kimberly Middlebrooks. Hello.
Hi,
Hi, Queen.
how are
Hi, beautiful. I'm
you?
fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I am so happy to have you today on our show, knowing that today we are going to discuss some very, very interesting topics about career sustainability, career strategies. These are things that so many people don't quite oftenly get all the information when they're doing job application, how to do their CVs, how to go into an interview, what to look at, how to prepare ourselves. And so I am glad to have you today because you will be telling us all these things. So I will not be talking anymore. First, I will let you introduce yourself to so that all those people who are joining in right now, they will get to know who is on the show. Who are you today?
Okay, fantastic. Thank you again. So, as you said before, I am a career strategy and interview coach. But
Mhm,
beyond that, I really help professionals that struggle to land their dream jobs. The main way I help them is helping them to create a career strategy plan,
mhm,
a really good CV or resume, and some
mhm,
stellar and remarkable interview skills. With those three things,
mhm.
it's going to be very, I won't say simple, but it'll be easier to find a job. It's all about getting in front of the right people, telling them the right things, and that really stems from knowing, what it is that you want to do in your career and kind of having a foundation. So that's where that career strategy comes in at.
Awesome, awesome. And I can relate to all that because I know, I've been in the market, long time ago, over at least 10 years, where I've been in the market looking for new jobs. And especially when you're in a totally different new country, new ethics, new culture, everything is different. There are those etiquettes that you need to learn. You need to learn how to, formulate your CV according to that country or according to the position you're looking at, learning how to go and presenting yourself. So I am so happy that you are going to talk about all these things. So first, before we dive into all this, just tell us a little bit about who are you? Who is Kimberly Middlebrook?
Okay, well, I am an HR professional, been working in the field for a long time. Very funny how I got into HR. I used to compete in pageants when I was younger, like a older
Oh, wow.
teenager, younger adult. Yeah. And I loved the interview portion of the pageant. Like that was like my favorite thing. I love the interview part. I love speaking on stage. And I thought, man, it would be so cool if I was able to help people gain the confidence to speak on their own behalf, right?
Mhm,
So then
mhm,
I go to college and I major in something not HR related whatsoever. And then I kind of found my way back to the path. I started in
mhm,
recruiting. I started in an agency setting. So you basically get like a list of clients that have open jobs, and you got to talk to people and find the best match. And in that, I found myself coaching a lot,
Okay.
because there's so many people who have the right stuff. They've got the education, they got the experience, they have the personalities. They just don't know how to articulate it and put it together so that it connects
Mhm.
with people. And so I found myself really doing that a lot. And I thought, wow, if I could make a career out of this or start a business doing this, this will be great. And so that was at the beginning of my career. So now, 9 plus, almost 10 years in, I really found myself having worked in so many different settings. And I think my experience is unique because I know what the organizations want and I know what the job seekers want. So I kind of feel like I'm a matchmaker, like I'm finding like the perfect job and helping the organization find their perfect, candidate. So it's kind of a marrying the best of both worlds.
Awesome, awesome. Oh, wonderful. And it's very interesting that, like you said, you've modeled before or you are doing the beauty pageant thing. What is it that you love about the interviews?
I loved talking to people. I think when we think of interview, we think of standing in front of a panel of people or sitting in front of a person and you're just saying everything and they're not saying anything back. When you
Mm-hmm,
learn the correct techniques and skills, you can get people to engage with you. And when you
mm-hmm,
ask the right questions, you get those engaging answers. And I think it's a way to show your personality, but it's also a way to pull them in. So it's more conversational and it's transactional. As far as job interviews are concerned, I always tell people it's not just you talk or yeah, you're talking to them and they're not saying anything. Like you're interviewing them as well. You want to know what type of company you're at. You want to know what their values are. You want to know, especially if the person you're interviewing with is going to be your direct manager, you want to know what kind of person they are. So you have just as much stake in the game as they do. And I think when you make it transactional and not one-sided, you get more out of it. They see more and you see more. I've
mm-hmm,
had clients who've gone to interviews, and this is for companies that they just had been, loving forever, and they just knew they wanted to work there. And they interviewed and met managers, and they're like, man, this is not my tribe. These are not my people. I don't think I want to work here. And it's because
mm-hmm,
they asked the right questions and they
mm-hmm.
got something out of it.
Okay, okay. So I love the way you've just laid out, the points of knowing where you're going for the interview, kind of trying to research about the company, getting to know them close. Please walk us through an interview where for you it was going to make a great impact and the strategy that you used and if they worked for you to get into that job, and also walk us through how somebody can do or can prepare a good career strategy. So first we will just start with your perspective on your side, the job that you did an interview and the strategy that you used. Walk us through a little bit.
Okay. So as far as strategy is concerned, strategy involves a lot of research, right?
Mm-hmm,
And the research
mm-hmm,
starts with you. So you have to know
mm-hmm,
yourself, you got to know your skills, you have
mm-hmm,
to know what you want, and you have to know about the company and if you are going to align with their culture. To be
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
realistic, there are a lot of organizations now that are shifting and changing with everything going on globally. People are becoming
Mhm,
more cognizant of certain populations of people, but
mhm,
culture doesn't change overnight. And so I'm not saying that one person can't go in and change culture. I hope we all go in somewhere and change something. But you have
mhm,
to understand that it's not going to change overnight. So you have to know if it's going to be something or an environment that you can thrive in. So that's really the,
mhm,
the the first thing of finding that out. Now, you can
mhm,
find that out through research. I have connected with people on LinkedIn and I have suggested my clients do the same thing, connect to people
mhm,
who work at that organization. If they're
mhm,
current employees, they're not going to badmouth the organization, right? But they are going to
mhm,
tell you things and details that are very telling, if you want to engage with them. For example,
mhm,
I reached out to someone and I was just asking about the culture, and they were telling me, the culture is great. It's very competitive. Managers look at you favorably if you come in half an hour early and stay half an hour late. And that
mhm,
sounded
mhm,
great, but that's just not my life. I don't mind working when I get home, but I do need to be home. You know what I mean? So it's like
mhm.
little things like
Yes.
that where they didn't say anything bad.
Mhm,
They just said something that resonated with me to let me
Mhm.
know that that wasn't where I wanted to go. So now, as
Mhm.
far as a personal story is concerned, I have had experiences where I and clients of mine, I've instructed them to do this, have done research. They
Mhm.
researched the managers, they looked at their past experience, they looked at the
Mhm.
leadership. I think looking at senior leaders in a company is
Mhm.
very important because it's telling,
Mhm.
right? It's going to
Mhm.
tell you who they value and what
Mhm.
type of experience they value.
Yes.
Okay, so you get your background information and then you're able to go into the interview and ask the right questions. And it's so
Mhm.
funny because a lot of managers, one of their first questions is, what do you know about the organization?
Yeah.
And if you are well researched, you know a lot about the organization. And I
Mhm.
think that's impressive because it lets them know that you're serious and that you're just not out taking interviews just because you have nothing better to do. So, through
Mhm.
using one facet of that is the research. So, through using the research, I've really found a lot of success in landing, my dream job or jobs. I've had a couple of them just by being able to really engage with the managers and let them know what I know about the company. And through that, you can also let them know what you can do for the company. It's not all about what they can do for you, but it's like, how can I improve and up level whatever department I'm going to be working in?
Exactly, because at the end of the day, it's a giving and taking thing. Because, you bring your value and they give you value. So it's kind of learning from each other and exchanging to value with each other. What do you bring on the table? What do I bring on the table? How do we work it together? How do we gain value that will benefit both of us at the end of the day? I really love what you just said right now. And I really love the part that you said, researching on the company, understanding if it is something or it is a place where you will thrive, because sometimes we kind of get hectic when we are looking for jobs or when we want to expand in our careers, and we end up falling into companies where you're there like 2 months, you up jumping up and about before you realize you've visited 10 companies, like going in one shop, coming out, going to another shop, like it's a window shopping thing. And in many a times, life is not about window shopping, it's about creating a stable ground for yourself. And that is very important, because and that is where the researching of the company comes in. So tell us a little bit about how does somebody kind of prepare their CV.
Okay, fantastic. So now, with your resume, with your CV, it has a couple of different components. The
Mhm.
main thing that your resume is it is your career story. It's not an
Mhm.
application, it's
Mhm.
not your personal story, it's your career
Mhm.
story. What
Mhm.
skills do you have, either through your education, through your
Mhm.
experience, or through your
Mhm.
achievements? Those are three
Mhm.
pivotal points: education, experience, achievement.
Mhm.
And so your career vitae basically is the story of all of that. How is all of that woven together? Now, some of us,
Mhm.
especially starting out, might have the education, but we don't have the experience. So how can you position your education to let the managers know that you are going to be a good fit for the position? Some of us might not have the education, but we've got the experience. So we've got to
Mhm.
talk about all the things that we've done. Another good thing to do is to put a lot of qualitative and quantitative data on your resume, especially if you're in a field where you're dealing with metrics and you're meeting goals. It's easy to say, I contributed to my department, but how? What did you do? So,
Mhm.
managers want to know how much money you saved, how much money you made, how many processes you were able to figure out were broken, and you were able to
Mhm.
create solutions for those processes.
Mhm.
Even if you're in a position that is more industrial and it's driven and you're kind of doing the same thing each day, how many units were
Mhm.
you turning over?
Mhm. Mhm.
What side projects did you volunteer for? Those are all
Mhm.
the things that you want on your resume. I
Mhm.
see this often and I coach people very frequently about this. And it's easy to do because I've done it before I knew better. People
Mhm.
will copy and paste their job description and put it on their resume. And that is not what you did. It's what you did. It's like the shell of what you did, right? But then you have to
Yes.
put the details in there. And people also
Mhm.
don't realize that a job description, the verbiage reads a little differently. It's a little cold and it's not inclusive. And if someone has an eye for it, they're going to be able to see that it's a job description. And sometimes managers are like, well, man, this person didn't even take the time to really tell me what they did at their position. I'm going to pass on them. So it's really important to really put the details. The last thing I think that we can do to really position our resumes to be seen is to be very cognizant of search words and search terms. It's called like SEO. So basically, there are some very smart applicant tracking systems, and it used to be where recruiters would look at each resume that came in. Now, sometimes your resume won't even make it into an applicant tracking system for a particular position if it doesn't have keywords on it. And not only does it need keywords, it needs some of the words in different tenses and phrases. For example, some of them are so sensitive to where if you are an HR professional and you just have HR on your resume and not human resources or human resource management, that little difference might not pick it up. So I always
Yep.
tell people, if you've got abbreviations, put the abbreviations there, especially if they're industry standard, but also put the full out terms and the words and use it in different tenses. So you can have, managed and managing and things like that. It's very small, but it makes a huge difference. And you being able to, get your resume in front of the right hands, right? Because I always tell people, it's just not enough to have a good resume. I mean, it helps and it's good, but it has to work for you. So you have to make
Yes.
sure it works and make sure it gets in the hands of the people who are the decision
Yes.
makers.
Yes. And that is very good that you said, having, your CV is your story. And, you can't copy paste. You have to look at the verbiage. You have to look at, you have to add your education, your experience. You have to sell you and not
Yeah,
somebody else. You have to sell
exactly.
what you can do. You have to sell your quality. What you have to quantify what value you're bringing. So give us an example. For example, for this, there are companies, yes, that will ask for a certain amount of experience. But yes, at the same time, we have a lot of qualified people who have never had the opportunity to get this experience. How would you coach this kind of people on, presenting themselves, allowing their education to sell that they will get this position, even knowing that they don't have the experience, but they're capable of, because we have this group of people.
Right. Absolutely. No, that's a large population of people. I work a lot with novice job seekers or recent graduates or career switchers.
Mm-hmm,
The main thing, if you want to let your education speak for yourself, then you have to delve into it. What classes did you take that are
mm-hmm,
directly attributed to what you'd be doing at the job? What major
mm-hmm,
projects did you work on? Did you do an
mm-hmm,
internship? If you
mm-hmm,
did, where did you intern? Because that experience is actually experience, and in a lot of
mm-hmm,
fields it will sell, it'll get you in the door. So you have
mm-hmm,
to know, again, those quantifying details in that type
mm-hmm,
of instance. They're very, very, very important. And I think the planning is important too, because I do
mm-hmm.
tell people, almost in any field of study that they're in, but especially in certain ones where you've got to have some experience to get into a job, which is mostly all of them, tell people, do an internship. Do an
Okay.
internship before you leave school. That will
Mm-hmm,
be so monumentally helpful, because you at least can say that for 4 to 6 months, sometimes they can even be a year, for a year, while you
mm-hmm,
are also learning in school, you were learning actually on the job. There are some companies that have like trainee programs, so really look
mm-hmm,
into and ask about those. Now, related to the amount of experience, I tell people, if you're maybe a year or two shy of what they're asking for, apply anyway,
mm-hmm.
because there could be some leverage. A lot of times managers, especially depending on the market,
Mm-hmm.
they can be flexible. And you don't know that because they're
Yes.
not going to say in the job description, hey, we're flexible. But sometimes they are,
Yes.
and sometimes if they're
Yes.
looking for somebody that has 3 to 5 years and you have like 1 to 2, it's very strong, it's very aligned, apply anyway. You never know
Mm-hmm.
what they're going to say. And you also never know what other positions are in the process of being approved. So if they've met you,
Exactly.
if you
Exactly.
interviewed very strong, if they like you, then a couple weeks later, you could get a call back from them because a new position's opened up. So
Yes.
I really stand in, if you are at least somewhat qualified for a job, try it
Mm-hmm.
out, because you just never know what the outcome could be.
Awesome, awesome. And I like what you've just said. Like, even though they have put some higher qualification, and because for me, what I have learned through the years is that every company has to advertise a certain percentage of jobs
Yes.
that are opened. And the thing is that because they want to streamline the amount of people who will be doing the application, because they don't want to have their desk full of mountain of CVs, or have all these spam emails of CVs, they kind of gauge a standard where they kind of streamline people. And that can be so daunting to so many people, because they look, oh no, they want somebody of 5 years experience, I only have 1 or 2. And I love the way you said apply anyway, because there could be some certain leverages that can work for you, because you don't know who is the interviewer on the other side. You don't know who is looking on the other side, because this person could have been in the same situation like you, and they understand that place on the other side of the river. I always call it on the other side of the river, because you only cross the river when you are on this other side, when your collar is up, because then if you can look back where your collar was down, then you can say, even them, they can be able to do it. And I can testify to that, because to me, when I started in the clinical research industry, I started from zero, basically. And I didn't know what it was all about, but I applied anyway, because I said, I have done my studies in the line of the pharmaceutical, but I'm just going to put my feet there. I don't know what they're doing. When I went to the interview, I was talking to this lady and I was like, honestly, I don't know what you people do, but I would love to start working for this company, because I know I can learn very fast and I can grow. And that is how I started in that career. And so I love all these very beautiful points that you've already given us. We have a couple of people watching. We have Charity who is watching. We said leadership is key. We have Hayat saying hello. We have Rosie Lunga, who was also watching with us, and they are really enjoying this conversation. And I'm very sure that there are many people who will be watching even the replay, and they will really be catching these nuggets that you've just put out. So now we will just do a short break, and then we will come back, and then we will talk about career sustainability.
Fantastic.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to our show, Who Are You? Today, our guest is Kimberly Middlebrooks. Kimberly is talking to us about career strategy and career sustainability. She's already dropped some very good nuggets for people who are looking for jobs, or people who are looking to, develop more into their career. She's talked about CV, how you can prepare your CV, ensuring that your CV is your story. Many people go out there and they copy paste from Google. That is a no-go. Your CV is your story. It is your education. It is your experience. It is you, because you are the one who is going to do that job, and not the other person who posted their CV on Google, as an example. So even though you might not have all the qualities that they are looking for, there is 1 or 2 qualities that can leverage you in a company. She's also said that, when you see a job description out there, whatever class of qualification they put, do not shy out to apply. If you know and you are confident about yourself that you can do that job, go ahead and apply for that job. Do not shy away, because you don't know who is on the other side. So as we were going on break, we said that we will come back and we will be talking about career sustainability. But before we go into career sustainability, I had asked you a question about, how does, you spoke about saying that we need to do research about companies so that we can know if we will thrive in them. So, but there is a trick behind this, because sometimes a company might looks all good with what is written, what is said, all good. I know I will thrive here. But then I come in and then it looks different. What do I do?
You
And
know, you have to.
I've been looking for a job for the past 3 years. But then I come in because I have already confidence that I will thrive in this company. But then it doesn't look like it is what is written. How do I do it?
You know, it depends on a couple different things, right? I
Yeah.
think really being in tune with your must haves and your
Mm-hmm.
like to haves is
Mm-hmm.
going to be key here. Now,
Mm-hmm.
do I encourage people to work places they don't want to work? I do not.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also very, very aware of the fact that we have responsibilities and
Mm-hmm.
we have things that we have to do. And
Mm-hmm.
going to work for some of us is one of those things and generating that income. So I always
Mm-hmm.
tell people if something is not the way you wanted it to seem, what about it don't you like? Now, there's
Mm-hmm.
some things that are deal breakers. Any type of
Okay.
harassment, discrimination, that's a deal
Yes.
breaker. Don't stick around for those kinds of things. But,
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you don't like the pain in the office, maybe if you don't like the receptionist, maybe if your boss is a little aggravating and kind of gets on your nerves, you have to kind of dig through that and think about what
Mm-hmm.
your short-term and long-term goals are.
Yes.
If you've been out of work for a while, you don't want a
Mm-hmm.
large gap in your employment. And if
Mm-hmm.
you know that this position, based on your research, this
Mm-hmm.
position is going to get you and position you to up level your career. If you stay here for a year, you can
Mm-hmm.
apply for other positions, go higher in other companies, make more money. Then I suggest to find ways to work through it and deal with it, and
Mm-hmm.
not even deal with it because I don't like that term, but just to be
Mm-hmm.
very strategic and to know what you're doing. Now, if it's a position that you're going to get nothing out of it, it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to put you on the path to being where you want to be, then you should probably look for something else. So I think even like you said, we can do so much research and sometimes it's not going to be what we want it to be, but we have to figure out why that is and what we can do about it because it's good to remember that we always have the power and we can always change the situation. And when you don't lose that hope
Mm-hmm.
and that belief in yourself, then you're able to really look at things from an objective standpoint.
Okay, okay, that's very good. That's very good. We have Lily Oko also on the line. She's saying hello. We have Janelle Harris. She says, "Wow, amazing." And there is one thing. Please tell us a little bit of. I've prepared myself. I'm going to this interview. How should I present myself? Of course, we know that, you should be confident. You should already have mastered, your CV is you. So you already know what it is all about. What are the do's and the don'ts in the interview?
Okay, so something that people don't realize is that
Mhm.
before you step into the interview room, you are interviewing. When you're
Yes.
sitting in your car, when you're walking inside, when you are
Mhm.
riding the elevator up, you're interviewing. Funny
Okay.
story, I have to interject here. So I remember I was doing a pageant and I was in the lobby and I got into an elevator with someone. It was a gentleman and it was just he and I in there. And I said, "Hi, how are you?" And he's like, "I'm fine." And we kind of chit chatted for a second. I said, "Okay,
Mhm.
well, have a great day." I got off the elevator. Later in the day, it was my turn to interview, and I go into the interview room and he's on the panel, right?
Wow.
So can you imagine, if I were rude to him? And you don't have to speak to people. I'm not saying that that's not rude, but I'm just saying, what if I were rude? What if I was talking on the phone and I was having a
Yes.
crazy conversation? Like all these
Yes.
things you don't realize. And so yeah, when you pull into wherever you are on the interview. So at that point, I would act as professional as possible and be
Mhm.
authentic to yourself, but also know that there are other people watching you. The manager
Mhm.
that you might be interviewing with might have just come out for lunch.
Mhm.
Something else that's good, be very engaging and be
Yes.
very respectful to the reception staff. There are so many companies who have a receptionist or an office manager that greets you, and
Yeah.
that person actually will send a note back to the manager, "Hey, this person was rude to me." I've seen that before as well. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Also, when you go in, have a few points that you want to talk about. Now, one question in the interview that really trips people up is the "tell me about yourself" question, right?
Exactly.
It's so broad and it's weird and it's like, why are you me this, but the rule of thumb there is to lead with things that are professional. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on what industry you're in and what type of position it's in. So let's say, for example, you are interviewing for a role where you are working with special needs children. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to say something personal about yourself. It's okay to say, I have a sibling who has special needs and I grew up caring for them and it really warmed my heart and it really made me want to get into this industry. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hear about that because it what ties to the job. Now,
Yes.
if they say, tell me about yourself, and you're like, yeah, I like to go and hang out and drink on the weekends and this and that, like that has nothing to do, and I've heard it before, has nothing to do with the job. And that's kind of off putting. So just really being able to have a strategy in your mind as to what you're going to say about yourself and how you're going to kick everything off is good for an interview. Something else, as I stated before, it being transactional, just sometimes you have to break the ice. Like maybe
Yes.
if you're interviewing with a couple different people, maybe one person isn't in the interview room yet and it's just you and someone else, and you don't want to kind of sit there or look nervous. You can say, hey, I've been to the Thai restaurant down the street before. You guys go there often. They have great service. Their food is good. A little small chit chat is fine. Again, you want to avoid being personal, but you want to be personable. So that's the
Yes.
difference there.
Yes, yes. Awesome, awesome. I really like what you've just said, like being cautious because your interview begins from the moment you step onto the grounds of the company. Lily Oko says your interview begins at the gate because many a times there are people who kind of unknowingly they forget that even the security guard can be anybody. The security guard can be somebody who has power, who has authority within the company, because probably he might be somebody who is put there to say, check out the people who are coming in. What are their etiquettes? How are they interacting? Because sometimes it will not be all about your experience, your CV. It will be about your social interaction. It will be more about how do you communicate with people? How do you look at people? How would you be a team player? Would you be somebody who is fitting within our environment? Because fitting within the environment, that means you can cooperate with the security guard, you can cooperate with the receptionist, you can cooperate with the cleaner, you can cooperate with the person who is serving you, a cup of coffee or, giving you a glass of water. So it is very, very important that we keep alert and we keep we are always attentive to who am I facing, who am I greeting, who am I with on in this lift that is taking us to the 7th floor or to the 6th floor. Who am I shaking hands with? Who am I waiting with at the reception? Because you might be waiting on at the reception with your interview with your interviewer and you don't know. And so how you kind of create conversation, learning how to have icebreakers, learning how to be consistent with what you say is very, very viable, because then it tells how confident and it tells how you can sell yourself in the market. Before we go to career sustainability, I know it is something that, it's not so important, but for a while, it has been something that people look at, especially, when you are having a panel of people interviewing you, you have like 3, 4 people sitting. How do you gauge on all the 3 people sitting there? Because I know people say have eye contact. How can somebody have eye contact with all 3, somebody who has never learned to have eye contact with 3 people in one sitting conversation?
Great question. Like you said, it's kind of impossible to have eye contact with 3 people because you only have 2 sets of eyes. So I always tell people about the pivot. So let's say like you're giving an answer and you're looking this way, you look that way, you look that way. You have to be a little more physically animated to kind of be engaged. And then something else that you can do to prove engagement as well is to ask each of them different questions. When
Okay.
it becomes time to ask questions, you can either sprinkle them in during the interview or wait until the end.
Mhm.
Most recruiters will let you know that you're going to be in a panel, and so I would suggest then to have a question for each person.
Mhm.
Panels can be kind of tricky too, because sometimes you don't get the information of who you're interviewing with, so you have to have the skill to learn names on the fly. um, I carry a professional like binder with me to interviews, and I doodle as we're talking. And if I'm
Mm-hmm.
meeting with multiple people, I immediately am going to write their names down, and I write them down in the order that they're sitting. So
Mm-hmm.
left, center, right, or however they're sitting, I'll write their names down. It shows engagement if you are answering your question and say, that's a great question, Leah. That's a great
Mm-hmm.
question, Chris. That's a great question. And, that really proves engagement too. So it is a little tricky to engage with multiple people at once, but there are certainly ways to do it for sure.
That is very, very good. That is personalizing and showing that I hear you, I get you, I have your question, or I have you also in mind, and I know that you are all present, and I'm showing that I'm present to all of them.
Yes.
That is very good. So now we will jump into our next session of career sustainability. Tell us a little bit more. What is career sustainability?
So, a career that's sustainable is one that is most of all flexible. And I think that we can look at the state of the job market and just the world, and we can see that flexibility is key, right? You've got to be
Mhm,
flexible. We've got some people that suddenly have found themselves without jobs or having to work
mhm,
from home, just crazy
mhm,
things. So, you got to be
mhm,
flexible when you have a sustainable career.
mhm,
As well, you have to know, again, what it is that you do. You have to know
mhm,
your skills. And not only do you have to be familiar with your skills, you have to be familiar with where those skills are in the market
mhm,
and what salary, what price you can dictate
mhm,
for those skills. That's the
mhm.
main thing. A career that's sustainable is one that is flexible, that's ongoing,
Mhm.
that's changing, and that is familiar with their rate in the market. Like that's key. You have to know how you can leverage your skills and how scalable your skills are in the market that you live in.
Awesome, awesome. I just love how you've put them all. It is a flexible career. It is a growth career. It is a career that changes. So that means you are able to change from one level to the other. That means it is flexible, that you can learn a lot of things within the sphere of your department, or even other departments within the same company. That is awesome. We have some good comments within, and we have Janelle Harris is saying good stuff. Thank you, Janelle. Tell it. And we have Charity Oko saying great tip with the names of the panelists, because that is something that people quite forget oftenly. So before I go to any other question of career sustainability, you wanted to give us a quiz about career strategy.
Yes, I do. So I have an exercise. So now,
Yeah.
if you all want to take out a sheet of paper, you can do it on your phone or your computer, whatever. A couple different things. So people always ask, what is career strategy? And just in a very condensed form, it's a roadmap that's going to help you discover what it is that you want to do ultimately. And why is it
Mm-hmm,
important? It's important for a lot of
mm-hmm,
reasons. It
mm-hmm,
helps you maintain organization, because if you're not organizing your career search, you're not going to be as effective as you need to be. You need to
mm-hmm,
have
mm-hmm,
more so of like a laser approach to it. Okay. And this is for everyone. If you're a
mm-hmm,
recent graduate, if you have a job, if you've been unemployed, whatever the case. Okay. So, step one, we're going to discover your core skills. So, on that sheet of paper, you can make a list of 3 to 5 skills that you have. It can
mm-hmm,
be customer service, it can be IT help desk, it can be HR, employment engagement, whatever, however it goes. So then you also want to write down some technical skills that you have. What
mm-hmm,
software do you know how to utilize? What computer
mm-hmm,
program can you work in your sleep? We need to know that.
mm-hmm,
Then you want to
mm-hmm,
know about your soft skills. And your soft skills are like, I always like to call them like they're like the cherry on top. They're like the sprinkles in your ice cream, right? Tell us
mm-hmm,
about how strategically you communicate. Tell us about how you're able to empathize with others. Tell us about your multitasking skills, things
mm-hmm,
like that. Okay.
mm-hmm,
That's on that one list. Now, the second step in your career strategy is going to be drawing 2 circles on your sheet of paper. The
mm-hmm,
first circle is going to target the type of organization you want to work at. The next one's going to be the environment. So when I say type, I mean, do you want to work at a large company? Do you want to work at a small company? Do you want to be
mm-hmm.
public sector? Do you want to be private sector? Do you want to work for a company that's all about diversity and inclusion, or does it not really matter to you? The
Mm-hmm.
second one, the environment. This is a big one. Do you want to work at home? Or do you want to work in an office? Or do you want to work, you know, a couple days in the office, a couple days at home? What cities do you want to work in? How far do you want to
Awesome.
commute? I can't tell you how many people land wonderful jobs and it's so far from their homes and they end up resigning because that commute is just too much, right?
Yes,
So these are
yes.
all the things that you want to take in consideration. And once you have this list and you look at it and review it, then you'll know what type of companies and what type of positions that you want to
Mm-hmm.
apply for. And it's more of a laser search because interviewing and job searching is an investment in time. And time is
Yes,
one thing that we can't get back, right? So we want to
yes,
be as
yes.
exact and precise as we possibly can.
Exactly. Awesome. Oh my goodness, those are great things to be working on. So I hope the people who are watching, I hope you've been taking notes. I hope you've noted, what are your soft skills? What are your, what kind of companies you want to work with, what kind of atmosphere you're looking at. Because many a times also, when you go for the interview, they would ask you, what are you looking for?
Yes.
What kind of
Yes.
company are you looking for? What are you looking for in a new company? Like, is it team playing? Is it the time factor? Is it working, different schedules? Is it working from home or working in the office? Are you comfortable with this or that? So that is a very good, point to keep in mind and to always have that also in writing because, you will never remember everything when you're in an interview, but when you have it in writing, you are allowed to go through your list. You're allowed to look at your documentation, what you've written, because we are not super people. We in an interview you see faces and everything kind of a blackout in your face, and so and so those are very important things to be looking at and putting them in your notes and in your documentation when you're going out for them. So Kimberly, how do you work with your clients, people who you're coaching? How do you coach them? What do you look at before you take up somebody for coaching? How do you coach them? From where do you start to where do you end? What is successful coaching for you?
Okay. So I really look for people that are serious about up leveling their career, and
Mm-hmm.
serious meaning doing the work. I'm more of an empowerment coach. While there are certain services I offer where I will do certain things, like for instance, I revamp resumes. I am able to write, remarkable resumes that are going to get you in the door where you want to go. But I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to ask
Mm-hmm.
questions first, and there are things that you're going to have to do in order to get us there. Some
Definitely.
coaches are just the doers, and I am
Mm-hmm.
a coach that's a partner. So you're
Yes.
doing something and I'm doing something. We're meeting goals. I end
Mm-hmm.
each session with an action list. We both have action steps, and we both have a date to
Exactly.
where we're going to reconvene and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
present one another with the action steps, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I coach from a lens of empowerment. I want
Mm-hmm.
to not only do things for people and help them, but I want to give them the tools. Because to me, this is more than just about getting a job. It's about being able
Exactly.
to sell yourself. It's about being
Mm-hmm.
able to know who you are, what you want, and to be able
Mm-hmm.
to be in any room and talk about those things. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these
Mm-hmm.
skills too transition over to people that at a later point maybe want to be entrepreneurs. So that's the same thing that you have to do in your work for yourself, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
always
Right.
selling. And so part of
Mm-hmm.
this is really being able to understand who you are, what you want, and what you offer. I
Exactly.
also coach from a lens of mindset empowerment, because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have it here, I can write
Yes.
you a wonderful resume. I can coach you every single day if you want, right? But if it doesn't
Exactly.
connect, and if you don't believe that you're worth it, and you don't believe that you
Yes.
can make it
Yes.
happen, there's nothing that I can do. So I do
Yes.
also incorporate some mindset coaching and just law of attraction and just being positive, because I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important. I think that we get what we're seeking, and so if you're seeking good
Yes.
things, you're going to get them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. And I love the way you've said, people who are interested, and you are kind of partnering with your clients, you're working with them, and there is those action items with the timelines to be done. Because otherwise, if we don't put engage ourselves in saying, I am starting this action item and I'm planning to have this action item at this particular point of time completed, and completed means it might not be satisfactory as you expect, but it is completed, and you can say confidently, I did my best and I completed it. And the rest, it will, time will tell how they evolve. And so it is important to keep up with time, because, like you said, time is something that we can never get back. Once it is gone, it is gone. So we will go on for another short break, and then we will come back, and then we will be talking about the skills or the tools that people can use and they can get, when they are going for interviews, and also career sustainability for them, so that people can know and they can at least be equipped in a manner that when they go out, they already have some simple tools that they can work with.
Your heart is tarnished black and blue. Betrayal is a feeling, not a word anymore. And you won't fall in love again. You've opened up too many times to be let down once more. And you say, I'll build a wall around myself.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to our show, Who Are You? I am your host, Dr. Leah Anita Reddick, and today our guest is Kimberly Middlebrooks. Kimberly is a career and empowerment coach. She's talked to us a lot of good things, a lot of good tips on how to look for, jobs that we love, companies that we can thrive in, and just understanding, what do I need when I'm going out there? How do I do my CV to place me, to sell me? And what is my CV? Because many a times people forget about what the CV is, and they just put something, they even forget to update it. When you have an update, when you've done something at that achievement, or you've changed something, or you've attained another qualification, it's very important to always update your CV. Look at it all the time, because it is you, and it is a little bit more of your vision, what you want, where you want to go, because it is something that is not just for now, it is a long-term thing. Because if you're planning to be in the job market for a long time, you have to have some stability. You have to have a company that you will grow, a company that you will feel comfortable, a company that is flexible for you when we come back into the sustainability, and growth is also eminent in this company. So Kimberly, give us some tools that people can use, a few tools that people can use when they are, writing a CV, when they are going for an interview, or when they're even researching a company that they have been called for an interview.
Fantastic. One of the first tools I always say is Google. There are so many different sites there. Glassdoor is a really good one, because it does publish like testimonials of people who work at the company, and it also gives you a roundabout range of what the salaries are within the organization, right? Because we want it to align with what it is that we're looking for. Indeed is another good site, because there are some opportunities for current and previous employees to put some information there. As far as your CV is concerned, it really depends on your experience as to the type of CV you have. I think that there are some sites online where you can check your grammar. I believe Grammarly is one of them. And you can go in and just make sure, you have good subject verb agreement. Make sure that in your current position, your verbs are present tense, and anything that you've done in the past are past tense. I have seen managers pass on a resume because the tenses were not right, because to them it looked like the person didn't have a good eye for detail, and it makes sense because it was a detail oriented job. So there's little things that you can do. I also advise people that I work with to track your jobs with mobile apps. It's so easy to just send your resume, boom, it's gone. You don't think about it. The
Mhm.
danger in that, though, occurs when the human resource manager calls you or the recruiter calls you and they say, "Hey, Leah, I noticed that you applied for an opportunity with X, Y, and Z Corporation. Do you have a moment to talk?" And you're
Mhm.
scrambling. You're like, "Did I apply here? What is this? Who are they?" And they're going to ask you, what do you know about the organization? What prompted you to apply?
Yeah.
If you have even just a simple Excel Word document, I've created one for my clients and I share with them,
Mm.
just a simple
Mm.
tracker. You might be on the go or you might be expecting the call, and you can look at your
Mm.
tracker and say, "Hey, these are a couple things that I noted about this company." And you're able
Mm.
to very articulately on the fly be able
Mm.
to say why you applied. When you're also
Mhm.
tracking your applications, it's going to be top of mind. You're not going to be applying for 50 to 60 jobs. It's going to be a
Mm.
very
Mm.
select amount. So you're going to be familiar. You're going to be able to talk to why you're a good fit for that position.
Mhm. That is very good. And I'm really happy you've talked about the tracking of the applications, because I remember, when I was still new, young, looking for, jobs, I was applying all over. And, sometimes I was so overwhelmed. By that time, I didn't even know anything to do with tracker, and I was like, somebody can call you and they're like, "Who is this?" And I'm like, "Where?" It's kind of very embarrassing, because the person on the other side, because even just that call is an interview already,
Yes.
because they're looking at who is on the other side, how do they respond, who, are we clicking. So it was really embarrassing until I had to go into the tools that you've given us, like, Google searching, Indeed, checking all these kind of things, going to look at interview presentations, looking at how to do those layouts. So those are great tools to be used in job application. So as we are still talking about more on how people can apply jobs and how people can walk into the interview room, I just want to throw out something, a goodie that Kimberly is giving to the first 8 people. So just watch the screen carefully and listen out carefully. Kimberly is offering a free career coach consultation for the first 8 people. And the first 8 people, you have to rush right now and you have to go and book a date under the link that is below. So check out this link is calendly.com/Kimberly Middleton's Brooks /strategy session. So rush 8 people, the first 8 people, you have a free consultation. And these consultations are very good, because I know consultations, normally people pay. Whether it is a 15-minute consultation, it is a 45-minute consultation, or it is a 1-hour consultation. So it is important, if you want to gauge on what Kimberly has been talking to us, rush quickly, take your telephone, take your computer, wherever gadget you have, log in and go to calendly.com/Kimberly Middlebrooks /strategy session. Book your free consultation. Be the first 8 people and get your first free consultation, free of charge. You don't
Yes.
know what is going to happen in that consultation. She might decide to give you something else on that consultation. So rush and get that consultation for free from Kimberly. You have all heard how she's giving us some good nuggets, some good tips on how we can go on job application. So Kimberly, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Now that you are doing career empowerment or coach empowerment, who are your clients? Who are you targeting with this career empowerment coaching?
Okay. I am targeting professionals who are looking to up-level their career. They're
Mhm.
either currently working, most of my clients actually have jobs and they're looking to up-level their careers.
Mhm.
I have a few sector of clients who are looking to not leave their organization, but we
Mhm.
create strategies for them to get noticed in their current position so that they can get promoted. I,
Mhm.
of course, also work with people who are switching careers or who don't have a job and they want to get back into the market.
Mhm.
So there is a pretty wide variety of professionals that I work with of different types, of different industries. The
Mhm.
main thread, though, and the people that I am speaking to, my tribe, these are
Mhm.
people who want to learn the skills to be better. I don't necessarily work with people who aren't motivated or people who have to kind of get their minds wrapped around it and they have to kind of believe. Like my tribal people are people who are already believers and they know that they can do it on their own, but they also are very cognizant of time and they want to act in the best interest of time. And so they find it valuable to have someone who does have the market insight and the industry insight to help guide them and help them make the steps. Because again, I don't make the steps for you. We partner together and we work together. So that's who I'm looking for, people who want to do the work.
Awesome, awesome. And it is very important, like, you have tackled on things like people who are motivated, people who know what they want, because it is very important to understand who you are. And that's what actually even, I love so much, because when I was writing this book, who are you? There's so many things that I was looking at, but when I had it, it was incubating in me. But I just didn't understand the impact that it would be bringing out to so many people. And this book is about people finding them real selves, knowing, understanding, who am I? It's not about my title, but it's about who am I? What is my vision? What is my path? What is my purpose? What is my calling? What am I good at? Because that is what I am giving people. That is my skill. That is my purpose. That is my calling. And I can work that out to the best of my capability and thrive in it. Because when I understand it and when I understand me, then I have already received me and I can give it out so perfectly. And so also I would ask people, if you want to understand, to begin to understand who you are, get a copy of this book on my website, www.steppinggrace.com. It's a very, very valuable book for you if you want to know who are you and the steps that you can take to come and understand, who am I? What do I want? How do I begin to realize my vision, my purpose, my calling? It doesn't matter whether you're going into a job market or you're starting your own business or, you're starting your own family. Whatever you are bringing, you have to understand, who am I? And what is me, Leah, or me, Kimberly, or me, Teresia, or me, whoever is the inside, because the outside speaks something different, but the me inside is me, because I have already understood from head to toe what I want, where I'm going, my vision, my, everything that is about me that I can bring value into the market. So, Kimberly, my last question to you is, what legacy would you like to leave, or what legacy do you want to pass on?
Wow, that is such a very powerful and impactful question. I want to leave on a legacy of empowerment and integrity. Again, as I said before, I coach through empowerment. I want to give people tools to be able to do things for themselves. I feel there is a sense of achievement when you've been able to accomplish something on your own and it's not anything that anyone else did. I also act in integrity because I do the things that I say that I'm going to do. And, I'm very honest with people. There might be instances where I work with someone and I say, you know what, I don't think you're ready. And I understand, let's keep in touch. I just want to leave on a legacy of empowerment and love and support and understanding that we're all connected. And so, me helping you is like me helping myself. Me helping you is like me helping someone else. You know what I mean? We all have a collective consciousness. So just being very aware of the things that we can do to empower one another is what I want to leave on.
Awesome. Empowering one another, and you helping me gives you also that understanding that, you are passing on something, and it's also helping you because it is also in this part of helping each other, empowering each other, that we even learn greater things that we never knew we could do or we never knew that we had. Because sometimes people see some things in us, they see value, they see, skills, they see things that we don't actually all the time concentrate to see, because we have allowed too much noise to to kind of saturate our space, and we've forgotten to know that we need to declutter and we need to get a clear mind and a clear place, space for us to understand what we want, and to understand that in this journey that we are walking, in this journey that somebody is walking with me, It's a journey that I'm going to learn a lot with the person, from the person. They will be learning something from me because, of course, I'm not just coming like, a baby who is just born today. Of course, I have something that has been walking me through, but then I just need, that place where somebody is saying, hey, walk straight, keep your head up, adjust your crown, take this, and you can walk straight into that place, into that purpose where you are at. So Kimberly, thank you very much for showing up to our show. Just please let the people know how they can find you. And before we even go into people contacting you, I just want to remind you, please, those who are watching, if you are looking for a free consultation, a free career coach consultation, please go into your gadgets, log into calendly.com/Kimberly Middlebrooks/strategy session. Get your free session with Kimberly. She's offering 8 free sessions for 8 people. So just go in, it's free. Anything for free, run to it. You never know, it will help you with your CV, it will help you with research on the companies you want to apply, it will help you in the career sustainability, wherever things you're looking at, it will keep you intact and it will keep you in track. So Kimberly, let us know how we can get in contact with you, for those who are watching or who will watch later, and how they can get in contact with you to know if they want more career coaching, sustainability, empowerment, how they can get in touch with you.
Yes. So the best way is on my website, or you can email me first, kim@kimberlymiddlebrooks.com. And then we've got kimberlymiddlebrooks.com, which is my website, just launched. So you guys have some grace. I'm still working on it, but those are 2 really good ways. I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me there as well. And you can look into a little bit of my professional background and see kind of what I've been doing for, the past few years and where I've worked and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited to connect with anyone. And again, as Leah said, I am offering the career strategy coaching sessions to the first 8 people that sign up. Totally complimentary. I just want to, get to know you and see how I can help.
Awesome. Great, Kimberly. Thank you so much for showing up in our show, Who Are You? This show, I am the host, Dr. Leah Reddick. So just a quickly reminder to all who are watching, who will be watching later. Today is the beginning of our great summit. This summit is called When Real Men Talk. Real Men Talk. And we have been honored, a couple of women, we've been honored to speak in this summit so that we can support these real men who wants to bring change after the pandemics that we've been going through this year. 2020 has been a year of pandemics, and these pandemics are not pandemics to pull us down, they are pandemics to grow us. And so the summit is beginning today. And so watch out on our page, our Facebook page. Go into Eventbrite. You will find there is a link given. Go in, log in. It is free. You can join in, listening to the men who are speaking, hear their vision, hear them out, get to understand what are they planning, what is their mission, what value are they bringing. Engage with them. Send your messages, send your questions. Discuss with them, get to know what are they going to do, how do they plan to do it. Pandemics have been ravaging us. We had the COVID that just appeared from nowhere. Then we had the racism issue that has now been all over. So get into our Facebook page, go and click in, get your direct logins to the Zoom. I will be posting out also a link that you can go in and log in when the sessions are beginning. My session is tomorrow, CEST 1:30 CEST, that is the European time. It will be 7:30 p.m. I will be speaking on this platform, engaging with these real men when they speak. So watch out. Log in, get engaged. This is the time that we need to be speaking out. We need to be standing out on what we believe, our values, our missions. We need to be moving forward. We don't need to be dragged behind by anything else. We need to be looking forward and taking and capitalizing in all these situations that are ravaging our countries, our nations, our world. Nobody knew that a global pandemic can lock the whole world down. Everybody's locked. Everybody in this world, on this planet Earth. So log in, get to hear them, engage with them, shoot your questions to them, let them answer you so that you can understand and know when real men talk, change come, grounds are shaken. Thank you very much. Your host, Dr. Leah Anita Reddick, our guest, Kimberly Middlebrooks. See you then. Stay blessed, stay motivated. Until next time. Goodbye.